What if happiness isn't something you need to create, but something you need to uncover? In our search for a better life, we often pass by the one thing that's always available, the present moment. We tell ourselves we'll be happy when things calm down, when we get through the next challenge, when something changes outside of us. But happiness doesn't wait at the end of a to-do list. It doesn't live in the future. It lives in now. True peace comes not from changing your life, but from changing the way you relate to this moment. And this moment, whatever it holds, is always enough, when you stop demanding that it be something else. The goal of this video is not to give you more to chase. It's to help you remember what's already here. A quiet joy that has nothing to do with outcomes, achievements, or perfection. If that speaks to you, take a moment to write this phrase in the comments. I feel happiness surrounding me. That simple act is a powerful way to connect with your intention. And if this video supports your journey, please subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and share it with someone who needs a soft place to land today. Let's begin. The human mind is a master of postponement. It tells you that happiness is coming, but not yet. First, you have to finish your work. Fix that relationship. Improve yourself. Clean the house. Check one more box. And while the list may change, the pattern doesn't. Because the mind doesn't want you to be present. It wants you to be prepared. It wants control. And presence is the opposite of control. When you begin to observe this, a shift starts to happen. You notice how much of your energy goes toward managing a moment that hasn't arrived. You watch yourself rehearse future conversations, relive past ones, judge this moment by how well it compares to the one you expected. And the moment itself slips away. But here's the secret monks and mindfulness teachers have known for centuries. The moment you're in, this exact breath, this tiny sliver of now, is complete. Not because it's exciting, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. And reality, when met fully, is enough. You don't have to love what's happening to meet it with peace. You only have to stop fighting it. Suffering is often just resistance wearing a different name. And the moment you let go of the idea that something's wrong, something broken, something lacking, you feel it. Relief, spaciousness, a softening in the chest. That's the return to now. That's happiness without effort. Pause for a moment. Notice your body. Not in theory, but in sensation. The contact between you and the surface beneath you. The rhythm of your breath. The way your shoulders sit. There's no need to change anything. Just noticing is enough. This is presence. Not as a concept, but as an experience. And in presence, happiness doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to rush in like a celebration. It arrives slowly, like sunlight coming through a window, quiet, steady, undeniable, but easy to miss if you're only looking for fireworks. The moment is not asking anything of you. It's not performing for you. It's just here, silent, full, and waiting to be welcomed. You may think you need more peace, more love, more success. But what if you simply need less thought about what's missing? It's a radical idea in a world built on constant improvement, that nothing more needs to happen for you to feel complete. That the most ordinary moment, when fully seen, is not ordinary at all. It is vast, sacred, alive. Most people carry an inner voice that whispers, "This isn't it." It tells them they're behind, that life should feel different, that if they were more disciplined, more evolved, more in control, things would be better. But that voice doesn't come from truth. It comes from habit. It's the voice of comparison, of conditioning, and most importantly, of disconnection. The more you listen to that voice, the more you miss what's actually here. The texture of the moment, the softness in the room, the pauses between thoughts, the kindness in your own breath. When you quiet the noise, Happiness doesn't need to be summoned, it simply reveals itself. Even now, it's here, underneath the striving, beneath the questions, between the breaths, a quiet place inside you that already knows how to rest, how to be content. You don't need to earn it. You don't need to wait for permission. You only need to return to it. What if peace wasn't something you had to reach, but something you had to stop running from? We are taught from a young age that stillness is laziness, that doing nothing is wasting time. But monks know something different. They understand that stillness is not the absence of life, it is the presence of it. When the body is still, the mind begins to settle, and only in that settling can we see clearly. Most of the time, we're not seeing the moment, we're seeing our thoughts about the moment. Our minds narrate everything. This is good, this is boring, this is not enough. That narration keeps us stuck in judgment, and judgment keeps us stuck in unhappiness. But if you pause long enough to drop the labels, what remains is far more peaceful. Not a dramatic kind of peace, not the kind that bursts into the room, but a quiet, ordinary, unmistakable kind of peace. It's the peace of accepting the moment as it is. No fixes, no performance. Just being. The present moment is not boring, it's just unfiltered. And when you stop needing it to entertain you, you discover something extraordinary. It holds everything you need: breath, stillness, the space between thoughts, the feeling of being alive. You don't need a new moment. You need new eyes for this one. Sometimes the mind wants happiness to be big, a breakthrough, a transformation, a lightning bolt that changes everything. But monks teach that the deepest joy is often the smallest. It's the sound of wind in the trees, the weight of your body settling into a cushion, the moment you notice you're safe and don't need to fix anything. Joy is not the same as excitement. Excitement rises fast and disappears just as quickly. Joy moves differently. It's subtle, grounded. It doesn't grab your attention. It waits for your awareness. There's a kind of happiness that doesn't shout. It whispers. It sits quietly and waits for you to get tired of chasing. It waits for you to pause long enough to notice that nothing more needs to happen for you to smile. If you've ever had a moment where time seemed to slow down, where you felt totally at ease even if nothing was perfect, that was presence. That was the joy that needs no condition. You don't need to hold on to it. You just need to remember that it's always available. The doorway is silence. The invitation is attention, and the reward is peace. We live in a world obsessed with progress. More goals, more growth, more improvement. But what if the most radical thing you can do is stop? Not give up, not retreat, just pause. There's a reason monks walk slowly. It's not just tradition, it's a practice, a way of aligning body and mind, of reminding themselves that there's nowhere more important than here, nothing more urgent than this step, no future that deserves more attention than this breath. The moment becomes sacred, not because of what it offers, but because of how you meet it. You can walk to your destination anxiously, or you can arrive with every step. You can drink your tea while planning your next task, or you can taste it fully and feel time stretch open around you. That's the choice. To live not by default, but by awareness. To trade urgency for reverence. And when you do, life stops feeling like something to race through and starts feeling like something to fall into. You've been taught that happiness requires effort. But what if it actually requires surrender? What if peace lives not in what you do, but in what you allow? Allowing doesn't mean you approve of everything. It doesn't mean you settle. It means you stop resisting what already is. You say, "This is what's here. Let me meet it with softness." That softness is the beginning of freedom. When the body softens, the mind follows. When the mind softens, joy becomes possible. Not because the world changed, but because you did. So much of our unhappiness comes from the stories we tell ourselves about what should be. We carry around silent expectations about ourselves, about others, about life. And when reality doesn't match those stories, we suffer. But suffering is not created by life. It's created by the mind's refusal to let life be what it is. Monks are trained to observe these stories without attaching to them. A thought comes, I'm behind. Another, this should be different. Another, I'll be happy when... And instead of chasing those thoughts or trying to correct the world, they return to breath. They return to stillness. They return to presence. Not because presence fixes everything, but because presence dissolves the illusion that something's wrong. When you live inside the story that happiness is elsewhere, you become blind to what's already here. But when you drop that story, even briefly, you notice things again. The light on the floor, the warmth of your hands, the way your breath feels as it enters and leaves. These things were never missing. You just weren't still enough to see them. Presence is not passive. It's active recognition. It's the decision to participate fully in what's real instead of getting lost in what's imagined. And the more you choose presence, the more joy becomes ordinary again. Not because you added something, but because you stopped subtracting your attention. There's a belief many people carry, often unconsciously, that happiness must be earned. That only after we've done enough, improved enough, proven ourselves enough, then we can feel at peace. But Buddhist wisdom turns this belief upside down. It says, peace is your nature. You don't earn it. You return to it. Imagine carrying a heavy bag your whole life. You assume it's necessary. Everyone else is carrying one too. But one day, someone shows you how to put it down. And the moment you do, you feel something strange. Lightness, ease. You didn't add anything, you simply let go. Happiness works the same way. When you release the need for things to be different, even for a moment, something opens. You realize you were holding your breath. You were bracing against life. You were trying so hard to manage everything that you forgot how to simply be. Letting go doesn't mean you abandon your goals. It means you stop tying your worth to them. It means you begin to believe that happiness is not something that happens at the end of your effort, but something that arises naturally when effort softens. So ask yourself gently, where am I trying too hard? Where am I holding on too tightly? And what might open if I let go, even just a little? We often wait for the world to become quiet so that we can feel peace. But the world will never be silent. It moves. It shifts. It calls for your attention. The real practice is learning to be still while the world moves around you. Monks don't live without noise. They live in harmony with it. They listen without absorbing. They breathe without clinging. They walk through the same changes, challenges, and discomforts that everyone else does. But they carry stillness with them. Stillness is not something you find. It's something you create. It begins with one breath, one pause, one moment where you stop reacting and simply witness. You don't need a quiet mountain or a meditation hall to find peace. You need presence, and presence is always one breath away. There's something sacred about the ordinary, if you're willing to see it. A cup of warm tea held with both hands, the slow creak of a wooden floor, a moment of silence between words. These moments pass most people by because they're not loud or exciting. But to those who are present, they are doorways to something much deeper. Monks don't chase experiences. They deepen into the ones they already have. They don't need fireworks to feel joy. They don't need praise to feel worthy. They sit with what is. And what is becomes enough. In fact, it becomes more than enough. It becomes beautiful. That beauty is not reserved for temples or mountaintops. It's right where you are. But you can only meet it when you stop waiting for life to impress you. When you stop needing each moment to be extraordinary in order to be worth your full attention. Happiness blooms in the moments we usually rush through. Folding clothes, washing your face, preparing a simple meal. These are not tasks to get through. They are chances to come back to your body, your breath, your being, to remember that joy isn't hiding, it's just quiet. There's nothing wrong with wanting more from life. But there's a difference between reaching from joy and reaching from emptiness. One comes from fullness, the other comes from forgetting. When you chase happiness, it runs. When you pause, it returns. The mind loves to calculate what's missing. It builds a future in which everything feels complete. But the future is not a destination you can stand in. You can only ever be where you are. So why not make that place feel like home? That is the power of presence. It turns now into enough. It turns breath into belonging. It turns stillness into sanctuary. No one else can give you this kind of happiness. It's not gifted. It's not downloaded. It's remembered. Underneath all the effort, all the noise, all the tension, there is a soft, steady joy that has been with you your whole life. You may have forgotten it, but it has never left. You touch it each time you stop bracing, each time you stop fixing, each time you say, "This is enough. I am enough." This happiness is not an emotion, it is a way of being, a gentle rhythm of living, and it begins now, not when the world calms down, not when you become better, but now. So as we close this time together, I invite you to let this phrase settle in your heart and type it in the comments. I feel happiness surrounding me. Not as a concept, but as a lived experience. Let it be your reminder when life feels overwhelming. Let it be your anchor when you forget how to be here. If this message helped you feel closer to your own peace, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs less striving and more stillness. May you carry this calm into every corner of your life. May you remember that you are already home. And may happiness greet you in the smallest of moments, always.